As you can see, there was a lot of debris out here. There was quite a lot. There was a hectic storm yesterday night in this area where I live in. And I assume this is all from the storm, which is horrible. You all are wondering why. You're probably wondering why you see my face right now. Well, I am here to tell you that I'm going to give you a history lesson on the great town of Edwardsville, Illinois. I'm going to give you all the history aspect into this. Now, I am sorry that I have not put out Day 2 Washington, D.C. yet. I am very sorry. But it is because I've just been so busy lately and all that. I am very sorry, but I will get that out soon. Look at that debris, man. Today I'm like, why not? Let's give each other a history lesson on Edwardsville. So, this is Edwardsville, Illinois. It was named after Ninian Edwards. He was a governor here. But you're probably wondering, Alaina, why are you over here in this weird abandoned road? Well, I'll tell you why. As you can see over here, that's a bunch of lake. That is called Cahokia Creek. And Cahokia Creek, it has a little history to it. So, let's go to the very beginning of Edwardsville. There was a man named Thomas Kirkpatrick. He settled here in 1805. He built a one-room log cabin here, just around here, Cahokia Creek. Just around here, what I'm walking. Now, I don't know exactly where it was. I just know that it was around this Cahokia Creek thing. As you can see here, this is Cahokia Creek. Now, I think that Thomas Kirkpatrick, he was around here somewhere. And as you can see, there's road over there with a bridge and everything. People probably think I'm crazy out here recording, but you know what? It's a history lesson. Yeah, so this is Cahokia Creek. This is around the area of where Thomas Kirkpatrick first built his log cabin. Very cool, isn't it? I didn't know about this. And so much debris. So much debris. Now, it's not too far off from where downtown Edwardsville is. It's maybe a mile or so that way. So, he really didn't live that far away from Edwardsville. Now, you're probably asking, why is this the first thing you're showing me? Well, I'm showing you Edwardsville beginning to the present. And so I thought this was a great first thing to show you guys. This is very cool. I've never seen this before myself. So we think, like I said, this is where Thomas Kirkpatrick first built his log cabin around. Now, it said that it was around... It was the end of O Street, and it was like the end of North Main Street. So I looked up Cahokia Creek. This is where it was at. So, yeah, this is what Thomas Kirkpatrick is right here. He was pretty good friends with Benjamin Stevenson, which Benjamin Stevenson also lived here in Edwardsville for a good amount of time. He has his own house here. I'll show you guys the house today, but I'm obviously not going to go in it because I obviously been in it before lots of times, and I also have a tour on it back in like 2015. So I really don't need to go in there again. Cahokia Creek. First, what came of Edwardsville. Thank you, Thomas Kirkpatrick, for coming over here and building a log cabin around Cahokia Creek. Alright, we are back here. So, you're probably wondering, where is the oldest known building in Edwardsville? This yellow house right here. That used to be a log cabin back in the day. And they furnished it up, as you can see. I don't know much about it, but all I know on the site is that it said that was the oldest building in Edwardsville. It's right down the road from Northside Dairy Haven, and there are some apartments and duplexes and houses and all that. So if you want to see the oldest known cabin building in Edwardsville. Okay, y'all, this house is really cool. This is 1501 North Main Street. This is one of the oldest brick buildings in Edwardsville. As you can see, very rusted. This was built in 1864. There's some cooler sightings on the back too. This was Gabriel Oesterich? Man, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a German last name, but it was like German. Now back here, as you can see, this is a well. They had their own well back here, which is pretty cool. Here's the back of it. Very old well, as you can see. Not working anymore. I don't know what this used to be. It's something. Looks like some sort of outhouse. And then if you go up here, this is the house. Come on. Can't really see too much into it. I've never been this close up to this house. Very gorgeous house for back then. I know it's a little rusted, but I always see this driving by. Very gorgeous house. I like it a lot. On to the next adventure. As you can see here, this used to be the Pogue store. And the Pogue store was Edwardsville's business district more than 2 centuries ago. It was built in 1818 by Robert Pogue, and he built this store right here. This is some of the landmark right here, as you can see where it was at. It was a general store, and it was a fur trading post that sold supplies to early settlers as well as to Native Americans who came to this store frequently. There were a lot of Native Americans that came here in the beginning of Edwardsville. So this is where a lot of the people came here. The store also had lots of famous people come here back in the day, like Edward Coles, Benjamin Stevenson, Joseph Gillespie, and Daniel Cook. This also used to be a bank, and it also used to be like a little restaurant too. So it was kind of like a gathering place for everybody back in the day. So this is a very little cool area in Edwardsville if you have never seen it before. Right across the street from the Pogue store, this used to be the old courthouse, one of the old courthouses. There used to be a lot, but this was the courthouse in 1824 where political enemies convicted Governor Edward Coles of illegally freeing his slaves. And this is the quote: "To preserve to a continuous line of generations that liberty obtained by the valor of our forefathers, we must make provisions for the moral and intellectual improvement of those who are to follow." So this was it right here. In 1869, the abandoned Madison County Circuit Clerk's Office at 1210 North Main Street was designed as Edwardsville's colored school and later became known as Lincoln School. Though segregated, it was the first state-funded free public school for African-American children in Edwardsville. Free public education was afforded while white children in 1864. The original school was raised in 1911, and a new 4-room brick school was erected on the same site for black children in grades 1 through 10. In 1929, 2 additional classrooms and a gymnasium were added. The curriculum was expanded to include 11th grade in 1935 and 12th grade in 1940. For the first time, black students were able to complete their education in Edwardsville. The Board of Education integrated black students into the local school system in the fall of 1951, but none of the African American educators were rehired. Lincoln School was closed in 1972 despite the objections of parents and teachers. During Lincoln School's 81 years as a black school, the building served not only as Edwardsville Center of African American Education, but also along with their churches as a center for Edwardsville's black community. As a representative of Lincoln School, the charismatic educator Christopher Columbus Jones, who served as a principal from 1902 to 1950, was the link from the Board of Education to the African American community. The historic Lincoln School building serves as a tangible reminder of the era of segregation in the public schools and a monument to the legacy of its contribution to the Edwardsville community. Now, I know I said that the old courthouse is right here with Edward Coles, but I don't know if the Lincoln School was here 1210. It was probably around here somewhere. I don't know if it was exactly that building. But that is a very cool known fact. I do remember hearing about that in my U.S. history class in junior year. We kind of talked about this Lincoln School where they served African Americans to go to. I think there was a guy by the name of Manny Jackson. He went to Lincoln School, and I just think that's so cool, you know. We're not talking about Lincoln School now in Edwardsville, it's talking about back then. But isn't that so cool though? I never really get to go around here and look at stuff up close, so it's very cool to bring you guys with me to see this stuff. This right here, it's called the Corner Tavern, but this used to be a hotel. It was called the Centered Hotel. It was later renamed to something else, but I forgot what it was called. People, railroad employees and factory employees used to come here to stay. But right now, the Corner Tavern is a bar, but it used to be a hotel. Isn't that pretty neat? Very cool. And as you'll see along with this video, a lot of these buildings in downtown Edwardsville were hotels. So there were probably like 5 or 6 hotels in the downtown Edwardsville area alone. I almost said St. Louis. This right here is the Madison County Historical Society Museum and Library, also known as the John Weir House. Weir. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I have sadly not been able to be in here yet. I hope to soon, but like I said, I've just been busy. But anyways, this is a museum for Madison County and Edwardsville's history, so I will hopefully be able to get in here sometime and show you guys more. But for now, this is the John Weir House. It was built in 1836. John Weir was a doctor, and his patients entered through his house through a side entrance, so it was either on one of those. He was a surgeon and physician, and he was also a doctor for the Madison County Poor Farm, which is very close to here and very sad, which I'll show you guys more about. He was a popular orator and he often spoke in support of temperance and abolitionist causes. His second wife occupied the house until 1963 when it was sold to the Historical Society, and it opened as a museum in 1964. You can see this is a very beautiful house. He was very popular in this area as also as Benjamin Stevenson. This right here used to be the Gillespie house of Matthew and Joseph Gillespie. That is where Abraham Lincoln met with them for the Republican Party when he came to Edwardsville. Very beautiful house. Look at that. Like, isn't that just gorgeous? Abraham Lincoln came here on the 11th, and he met with them at their house. Then they went to a tavern diner to eat at noon, which I will show you guys after this. And yes, Abraham Lincoln did come here in Edwardsville to make a speech. He only came here for one day. Then he went to Highland and Alton, where Alton is like the most famous speech that he has ever made with Stephen Douglas. I'll have to show you guys that statue sometime because Alton has a lot of history, just like Edwardsville. I love to show you guys too. We came here on the 11th, went to Matthew and Joseph Gillespie's house to meet with them, just to talk. Then they went to the Tavern Diner at noon to eat some lunch. I'll show you guys that. Then I'll tell you guys more about the story once we get there. This right here behind me used to be the tavern. It was also a hotel. It was a hotel and a tavern and a restaurant, all in the same thing. Right now, it is an apartment complex, so people live here. But back then, it used to be bustling back then. Abraham Lincoln, it wasn't too far of a walk. I walked like 4 minutes, so they themselves didn't have that too far to walk. There was a thing that I read. There was an 11-year-old girl who, she woke up in the middle of the night and she was peeling potatoes, and she could see like how long the tables were and how like perfectly set they were, and it was all for Abraham Lincoln. I'm trying to think. Benjamin Stevenson also came here. I think it said something about Stephen Douglas, but I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, people used to live up top, restaurant on the bottom. This is where Abraham Lincoln came to eat after he went to the house. And then after that, he did a speech at 1 p.m. in downtown Edwardsville. So I will show you guys that next. This is beautiful downtown in Edwardsville. Look how cool that is. I cannot zoom in. Well, that's the mural over there. We are going to walk across. And I am going to show you guys a little bit about downtown Edwardsville. So, Edwardsville was founded in 1818. As you can see right there, it's founded in 1818 on the mural. You wouldn't think this place would be historic, but it is. It really is historic. There were so many great notable people here. Like I said earlier, Abraham Lincoln came here to do a speech here. Not every day you see Abraham Lincoln in your town back then, you know. It's kind of rare because, you know, he was going from city to city, to town to promote as much as he could. And this light is not wanting to turn green. I don't know why. I'm going to show you guys the actual speech plaque where Abraham Lincoln did his speech at. Now, downtown Edwardsville is one of my most favorite places. Well, it's not my favorite place when it's rush time, as you can see here. There's a lot of cars going. It's not fun at 5 p.m. rush hour in Edwardsville. But it is fun to walk the streets, because when you walk the streets, you see a lot of history in it. Like I said, back then, downtown Edwardsville had a lot of hotels, lots of restaurants, all of that jazz. Kind of the same thing now today, but with less hotels. More of our hotels nowadays are around the SIUE high school area. But there's a lot of restaurants here. Like we got the Foundry right there. We got Big Daddy's over there. There's also Stagger Inn, which I played there before with my band. If you don't know, I'm a drummer. And I played at Stagger Inn, and Stagger Inn is a very, very historic place where a lot of cool people used to play. Right now, I am walking the streets of Edwardsville. And down here soon, I will show you the courthouse. Now, this courthouse, it's very pretty. I'll show you once I get up here. This right here is where Abraham Lincoln did his speech. There's one part of the courthouse. Over there is the metro where you can ride the bus. Wildy over there. There's really not much else to show you guys in downtown Edwardsville because I'm really here to just show you the important stuff. Like I said, here there's just restaurants in here. If I knew something historic, I would show you guys in this area, but more historic stuff is down there. But in the comments, if I missed something, please let me know. You can see here, this is a very long road for downtown Edwardsville. So right after Lincoln and his friend ate at the tavern that I showed you, which is now an apartment complex, he came down here. There was a little parade that happened. It was like 1 p.m. It didn't go as good, you guys. Some people said it was a poorly etiquette parade. People were making racial slurs to Lincoln, so it was not the best parade. But anyways, then he came to do a speech right here. Site of Abraham Lincoln's speech while campaigning for United States Senator, September 11th, 1858, Edwardsville, Illinois. Our reliance is in love of liberty. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit which prizes liberty. And this was dedicated in 1997. So this is one area of the courthouse. I'll show you the other part of the courthouse. But this is specifically where A. Lincoln did his speech. I would highly suggest walking these streets. I don't know why someone honked, but okay. Anyways, I would highly suggest walking these streets. Not just for the exercise, but for the history. As you go way more down that way, I was way more down that way. That is where a lot of historic stuff is at. So if you're a history buff, go south of me. Wow, that is a fancy bus. So now I talked a lot about downtown Edwardsville. Now I'm gonna show you guys Ninian Edwards statue, which he was named for Edwardsville. I'm gonna show you his burial site. I'm gonna show you Benjamin Stevenson House, and maybe a couple of more things. And that nearly wraps up. I almost got hit by a car. Edwardsville's history. I'll see you there. This right here is old buddy boy Ninian Edwards. He was 5'4", as you can see. I'm 4'11", so dude is pretty short. He was born in Maryland, and he studied in Kentucky, and he came over here, and he was the first and only territorial governor of Illinois from, let me see this again, 1809 to 1818. City of Edwardsville was named in his honor in 1813. That's how we got our name, Edwardsville. Another cool fun fact, is that Mary Lincoln, which is Abraham Lincoln's wife, her sister was married to this guy right here. So he was Abraham Lincoln's brother-in-law. Isn't that pretty cool? And also, he died in Belleville, but he was buried in Springfield, where Abraham Lincoln is also buried there. So if you only want to see Abraham Lincoln, go see this guy as well. He's also buried here. The funny thing, before 2020, this guy was on a pedestal, which he was way higher than what he is now. But people really disliked that in 2020 during all of that stuff happening, during the Black Lives Matter, BLM stuff. Because as you can see right here, he had lots of slaves, and he had slaves, so people didn't like that. Therefore, he is now on the ground. But it used to be really funny. He was on a big pedestal, which made him look way taller than what he is now. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is St. Boniface Church, and as you can see right there, it says "Let's go Cougars." Hey, let's go Cougars. They're in the division team now. But, and you're probably wondering, why are you recording St. Boniface? Well, this was where Ninian Edwards first built his home at. Right here. In 1819 to 20, that's when he first built the home right here. But it's not too far away from his statue. I had to walk maybe 0.5 miles or so to get here. Which, very beautiful church, by the way. But this is where he first lived, right here. This right here behind the Edwardsville splash pad is the Madison County Poor Farm Cemetery. Now, I speculate that there are a bunch of people buried here in this field. And it says that the burials took place from 1893 to 1906. Just look at all those names. Isn't that crazy? So sad. So, what the Poor Farm Cemetery is, it pretty much was like a house for the workers that were sick and blind and ill, the farmers, for all that sort of, the farmers that were sick and ill and blind. It was for those people. And these are all the people for the resting place. I'm sorry, I don't know too much about this. I still need to read up on it, but that's what I read very quickly before shooting this video. And then there are some landmarks way over there that I like to show you guys. Here are the 5 monuments of all of the governors that we had. We got Edward Coles, Ninian Edwards, John Reynolds, Thomas Ford, and Charles Deneen. I hope I said that right. So, what we got for Edward Coles? He was the 2nd governor of Illinois. He was born into one of the wealthiest families in Virginia in 1786, and he graduated from William and Mary, which that was the most common school in Virginia at that time. He was raised on a plantation. He was anti-slavery, and he persistently urged President Thomas Jefferson and James Madison to free their slaves, which they didn't. James Madison was a close friend of Coles, and he appointed him to serve as the president's private secretary from 1810 to 1815. In 1819, he moved here to Edwardsville, and he freed his slaves. Very cool. James Monroe appointed Coles Registrar of the Federal Land Office, a position he held until elected governor in 1822. In 1824, Coles and supporters defeated a pro-slavery coalition that was calling for a new Illinois Constitutional Convention with the goal of making Illinois a slave state. Coles' additional accomplishments include creation of the Illinois and Michigan Canal and reorganization of the state judiciary. Coles ran for Congress in 1831, but he lost. In 1833, Coles left Illinois for Pennsylvania, and he died there in 1868. This is Ninian Edwards, who I was talking about earlier. That's him right there. That's his picture. Here's if you want to know more. Ninian Edwards was Illinois' 3rd governor. He was born in Maryland in 1775. He attended college in Pennsylvania, but he left to study law in Kentucky, which I was talking about earlier, where he became a Chief Justice of the Kentucky Court of Appeals in 1807. He moved here to Illinois in 1809, when President James Madison appointed him Illinois Territory's governor, which I told you guys also. He led a regiment of 350 men during the War of 1812. In 1818, when Illinois became a state, he was elected as one of Illinois' first 2 U.S. senators. In 1826, he was elected governor of Illinois. During his term, he worked to remove Native Americans from Illinois, while also promoting immigration to the state, which resulted in a significant increase in the population of Illinois. His primary residence was in Edwardsville during his political career, but in 1830, he moved to Belleville, where he died in a cholera epidemic in 1833, and he's buried in Springfield. This is Governor John Reynolds from 1830 to 1834. John Reynolds was Illinois' 4th governor. He was born in Pennsylvania in 1788 to Irish immigrants. His family moved from Pennsylvania to Tennessee to Kaskaskia, Illinois. That's a funny name. And in 1807 to an area known as the Goshen Settlement near Edwardsville. Reynolds studied law at East Tennessee College in Knoxville, which is now UT, and set up his first law practice in Cahokia. He was a veteran of the War of 1812 and the Black Hawk War, the latter for which he achieved the rank of Major General of the Illinois Militia. Reynolds' public service spanned 36 years across all three branches of Illinois government as one of the first Illinois Supreme Court associate judges, Illinois House member and Speaker, and Governor. He was a proponent of slavery. Reynolds resigned his gubernatorial role in 1834 to serve in the U.S. House. In 1837, Reynolds, along with other investors, built the first railroad in the Mississippi Valley from the Belleville area bluffs to the Mississippi River. Reynolds later lived in Belleville, that's where Ninian Edwards was, where he authored several books, including his autobiography. He died in 1865, just like Abraham Lincoln. This is Governor Thomas Ford. Thomas Ford was Illinois' 8th governor. He was born in Pennsylvania in 1800, where his widowed mother struggled to raise the family amidst poverty. The family moved to Illinois in 1805. Ford studied law for one term at Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky, before returning to Illinois to open a law practice in Waterloo. He later joined a practice in Edwardsville, and in 1829 he was appointed state's attorney. Ford served in the Black Hawk War, which, that's crazy, because it says a lot of these governors was the Black Hawk War and 1812 War. Afterwards, he returned to law, where he was appointed to numerous positions, including circuit court judge and state Supreme Court judge prior to being elected governor in 1842. His administration's greatest challenges were stabilizing the state's finances following the nation's panic of 1837 and its leadership during the Mormon War, which is 1838, and the Mexican-American War, which is 1846 to 1848. Zachary Taylor also served in that. He's best known for his book, A History of Illinois. I've never heard of that. I might have to check that out. From its commencement as a state in 1818 to 1847. After serving as a governor, he resumed a private law practice in Peoria, where he died in 1850. Lastly, this is Governor Charles Deneen, 1905 to 1930. Charles Samuel Deneen was the 23rd governor of Illinois. He was born in Edwardsville in 1863. Deneen was raised in nearby Lebanon, where he graduated from McKendree College, which is now McKendree University. Very minimal change. He later attended Union College of Law in Chicago, which is now Northwestern University, and was admitted to the Illinois Bar Association in 1886. In 1892, Deneen was elected to the Illinois House of Representatives. He later served as state's attorney of Cook County for 8 years until elected governor. As governor, Deneen led the passage of legislation creating the primary election process in Illinois. He also increased the public education budget and made improvements to workers' compensation provisions and child labor laws. After serving 2 terms, Deneen was defeated, but went on to represent Illinois as a U.S. Senator from 1925 to 1931. Following the completion of his term in the Senate, Deneen returned to Chicago, where he practiced law until his death in 1940. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most well-known homes in Edwardsville. This is the Benjamin Stevenson house. I don't want to go too far up because it did close recently. But like I said earlier, there was a video earlier in my channel where I took a tour of this house when I was younger. So you can check that there. But this is the house. Benjamin Stevenson, he bought this house in the 1800s. 1822, maybe? Man, I'm so bad. And he died in this house as well. Also, another cool thing is that, well, I guess not cool, but sad at the same time. He was hosting a party here, and someone got stabbed here. So, I'm pretty sure he died here as well. And also, there have been some ghost sightings at this house and all that. I really do want to come back here and get a tour of this again and look inside when I have the time. But this house is full of history, right across from that Dairy Queen, where I always love to get stuff. And the last thing I'm going to show you guys today is Benjamin Stevenson's grave at Lusk Cemetery. We are at Lusk Cemetery. This is John Thomas Lusk. He came to Edwardsville from South Carolina in 1805 with his wife, Lucretia? I think that's how you say it. He served in some wars, and he also built the first hotel here in Edwardsville. So that's him right here. This is what it says about Lusk Cemetery. Lusk Memorial Park is composed of the original public burial ground, Edwardsville's oldest known cemetery, as well as a later expansion of the cemetery. Burials in the earlier cemetery on the north side began prior to 1812, which is over there. The cemetery was expanded in 1825 by John Lusk, which I said he was over there. Before perpetual care, graves were cared for by families, but as families died off or moved away, this burial ground became sadly neglected. As you can see here, really neglected. A new place for burials, Woodlawn Cemetery, was created in 1871, and approximately 400 remains from Lusk Cemetery were moved to the new cemetery. However, it is estimated that more than 1,000 bodies remain in the ground here, including soldiers from 6 wars and early preachers. Although burials continued at Lusk Cemetery after 1871, primarily for those who wanted to be buried with their families, the cemetery was in such poor condition that the city was asked to take it over. In 1913, the cemetery became the property of the city of Edwardsville, and burials were closed to all except the Lusk family. Georgia Lusk, who died in 1955, was the last burial in the cemetery. As part of a works program during the Great Depression, there was a project to clean up the cemetery and create a clean lawn by burying the gravestones, which were, for the most part, already on the ground. The grounds today remained as green space because to dig almost anywhere in the park would disturb the sacred ground that contains the graves of some of Edwardsville's earliest pioneers. And I didn't see this here, to be honest, the last time I was here, because I went to look at Benjamin Stevenson's grave, and I didn't see this. As you can see, they put this down here in August 2024. I like that. I like that a lot. So let's see. They were talking about, let's see here. Who was the last? Georgia Lusk, who died in 1955, was the last burial. I want to say, is this her? Nah, that's not her. That's Geo Lusk. Geo Putnam. It's very sad because look at these unmarked graves, you guys. Like, I bet there's so many people that's buried here, like we said. And also, I have no idea what that says. I wish I knew what that said, but I do not know what that says. That's Percy Lusk over there. Let's see. Yeah, Georgia Lusk. Right here. Last one to be buried here. And then, let's see, John Lusk over there. And then, if we go over here, to be honest, I did not see any of this when I came here. Public ground, Lusk Cemetery, burials 1818 to 1955. This right here. Here's old buddy boy Benjamin Stevenson. War of 1812. Born July 8, 1769, and he died October 10th, 1822. He was a 1812 war veteran. That's nice. They got some American flags out here. What does it say here? This tract of ground was the first cemetery in the city of Edwardsville. Buried here are the soldiers of our early wars and the pioneer settlers of this community. Which, who knows, they're probably all scattered around here. We've got a couple more graves here. Reuben Hopkins. He was in the U.S. Army Revolutionary War. Also, that's awesome. June 1st, 1748 to August 18th, 1822. And then we got Thomas Stendhal, Patriot, Revolutionary War, circa 1767 to June 1832. What's that say? General George Rogers Clark, Chapter Sons of the American Revolution. 1775 Patriot. thank you so much on coming to this journey with me. This was so much fun. I was wanting to do this for so long, but I just couldn't find a good day to do it, you know? I'm stepping on sticks, getting dirt all over me, but whatever. Every time I wanted to do this, it was raining. So, sorry, I got cut off. Even though it's kind of cloudy, still nice out. But this was so much fun. I wanted to show you guys Edwardsville history for so long. Like I said earlier in this video, Edwardsville has so much history, and there's probably way more that I don't even know. But what I've shown today in this video is what all I know from Edwardsville. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will make sure to have day 2 of Washington, D.C. out as soon as possible. Let me know if I missed anything on the history of Edwardsville. Also, let me know if you want any more histories on other cities. I might do Alton next. Alton is also very historic. It's really nice there. They also have a lot of cool museums. So, just let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.